Hey folks, let's learn something new about the oil and gas industry. Today we got something really cool. Sales strategy for oil and gas in 2016. How to kick ass and drive results. Now, this is not our predictions for 2016. That blog post will come out the end of November. This is a blog post on if you're a salesperson in oil and gas, what you need to do to make sure you have a killer year in 2016. All right, so let's just jump into it. So number one, and if you've watched us for any length of time, you knew this is what I was going to say, planning. Planning is everything. Now, if you're one of those big companies out there that have this annual planning process that make all your reps put all these charts together and numbers and figures and target accounts, and then everybody presents it and then you don't touch it again for the rest of the year, stop it. That's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your reps' time. If you don't use something that's fact-based, that's actionable, it's a waste of everybody's time. So let's get it right? So you need to look at what you really need to accomplish. You need to have bottom up mathematics, not top down. A lot of sales organizations get some big number from the top and they just work it down the reps. That's not real. That's not facts. Look at from the reps point of view, what can they actually do and work your way up to get your total number. And remember, everything you need in this plan needs to be actionable. You actually need to be able to do it. And throughout the year, have checkpoints with your reps to readjust, right? To make sure they're on track. A short one-page actionable sales plan is 100 times better than some 30-page PowerPoint thing that nobody ever look at again, right? So that sales strategy planning is vital for your success in 2016. Next thing is you have to know what the problem is that your product or solution fixes. Now, if you've been selling to oil and gas for years, or in some cases 10s and 20s of years, you may think you know exactly where that is. And unfortunately, if that world for you is in upstream or in the service part of the industry at service upstream, you're really hurting right now. Trust me, if you fix something in upstream and service, you fix it in other parts of the industry, midstream, downstream, super tankers, whatever. Let me tell you a real client story. So we had this client that has actually been selling, it's a technology client, it's been actually selling oil and gas for over 20 years, right? And they've predominantly sold to the service companies. What they make is something that will connect any business system to any other business system. Think of it as a universal translator, right? And so traditionally they sold to the service companies, they sold very low margin deals, and they sold through IT. That was their world. And they thought that was all of the world, right? All they worried about with their sales and marketing efforts was getting in front of more IT people in front of service companies. Low prices hit, right? Service companies quit buying stuff. They freak out. They engage with us. We go out there and we look at the whole universe of oil and gas, upstream, midstream, downstream, and service. And guess what? There's this whole world out there where it's predominantly upstream companies, but they form these joint ventures, in a lot of cases by law. So if you're an American oil and gas company and you want to do business in Brazil, you have to found a joint venture with the Brazilian nationalized oil company, Petrobras, required by law. And you multiply that times 10,000, and that's how the world is. Well, part of forming a joint venture is you need to connect your business system to the other company's business system, and you want to do it as quickly as possible. And more importantly, to the American oil and gas companies, is that when you want to disconnect it, you want to disconnect it instantly, right? Well, my clients had a solution for that, but they didn't know that market even existed for them. So they've actually increased their market share 31% in a segment of the market that they didn't even know they had business in. And the coolest thing is, now they're no longer selling to IT, they're selling to the business because they solve a real business problem. So they doubled their margins on their deals. So there's a perfect example whatever your product or solution does in the industry, you may think you know where it fits. I promise you it fits in other parts of the industry. And in this low crude price market, you need to know exactly where that is and go out there and sell it. Then for 2016, regardless of what you think about the rebound of crude prices, and we have our own views on that, but 2016, you need to be focusing on midstream and downstream, and especially petrochemicals, right? Petrochemicals are hot right now. We're going to actually stick a link up of the hottest petrochemical companies in the U.S. And let me just tell you something. ExxonMobil's chemical division has increased revenue 63% year over year. So this is almost November of 2015. From a year ago to now, they've increased their revenue 63%, and that's like crazy freaking growth. But you wouldn't know that listening to the news. So there's a big market that you may not know exists for what you do, and it's in oil and gas. It's just in a different part of oil and gas, right? Then the next thing is, for those upstream and the service companies that service upstream, if for some reason you're still trying to sell there, you need to figure out how to become an efficiency expert. Take what your product or solution does Figure out how it drives efficiencies in some manner or form, and that's your new sales approach, right? They're not going to listen to you about buying anything new right now because they're scared and they're hurting for money. They will listen to you if you can prove efficiency. That's what everybody's looking at. And I promise you, if you step back from what you do with a bigger picture and think about it, you can figure out some way that your product or solution drives efficiencies, which is the only way the upstream and the service companies are going to even talk to you right now. And then here's a big one. You need to look for problems that your companies don't even know they have. So in this low crude price market, the upstream and the service companies are worried about all kinds of stuff. And if you can uncover a problem, a cost that they didn't know they have, then you're onto something. Now, let me warn you. You also have to have the culture that they want to change that problem. In oil and gas, unfortunately, there's a lot of problems that people can fix, a lot of stuff sales guys can fix. But if the industry doesn't want to change that problem, you're wasting your time. You're better off going to take that time and go somewhere else. But if you can fix a problem, especially one they don't know they have, and they have the willingness to fix it, you're onto something huge. Then, and this is something that a lot of reps back off on when they get worried, you got to dedicate your prospecting time. And I don't care if you're an entry-level sales guy or you've been doing it for 25 years and you're at the top of your game. You have to put in the time in prospecting. Your future is your prospecting list, right? Your existing clients may or may not renew with you. They may or not buy from you. But if you can find new people that will buy from you, you then own your sales world. So if you don't put dedicated time in your calendar for prospecting, it's your fault that you're not hitting your number. Then speaking of numbers, 2016 reps are going to have to live and die by their numbers. How many cold calls did you make? How many emails did you send out? How many existing clients did you meet with? How many proposals you get out the door? It's more important than ever to live and die by your numbers. I promise you, the people that have high activity will have good results. It doesn't always mean the people with high activity have the best results, but I promise you, high activity drives good results. Then, and here's one I stole from Stephen Covey, but you got to sharpen the saw, folks. Don't get stressed. It's a rough time for those people that are in upstream and the service companies that touch upstream. Those sales organizations are worried, but you need to get your workouts in. You need to make sure you eat right, you get enough sleep, because you need to be number one. You need to be at the top of your game. And if you don't take care of yourself physically and mentally, you won't be on top of the game and you're going to miss stuff. So sharpen the saw. Then, if you have existing clients, you're crazy not to look at a strategy to retain and grow those existing accounts. You have people that are buying from you. What will it take to increase a deal, to sell them something new? If you spend some time on that, strategizing about that for 2016, I promise you it will pay you off by the end of the year. Then, and here it kind of ties back into prospecting, what do you have to do to find new accounts, new opportunities, right? Think that through strategically. There's other places that have a need for what you do. Where are they? What is that order? What is the number one person that's not buying from you now that will buy from you the quickest? And what is the one that's not going to buy from you no matter what? You need to know that progression, and you want to spend your time up here, not down here. Then, what can you do to increase the actual deal size? So think about this. If you sell something and an average deal is $500,000, and you can increase that to $250,000 with some value add, for every 2 that you sell, it's actually like closing 3 of your old deals. It's a force multiplier. So think of something that can add genuine value to your clients and see what you can do to increase your actual opportunity size. Then, what do you have to do to win more opportunities in your pipeline? If you're a sales manager and you have a big sales organization, this comes back to something you don't want to hear right now. It's training, and that costs dollars. But if you take your existing reps and give them some knowledge transfer, some new skills they don't have, and they go from a 60 to 70% close ratio, that's huge for your number. If you're a small sales organization or you're one guy, think about it. There's some good information, there's some good books out there on what to do to win more opportunities in your pipeline. I'm gonna tell you something for us, and I'm not bragging, but our average close ratio is around 95%, and that's me doing this 20 some odd years, right? But think about if you had that type of close ratio, how much revenue you would actually generate. Then here's a big one, it's going to be in 2016. What do you have to do to increase your selling time? There's so many distractions. There's so many, all kinds of information, your inbox, text messages, Facebook, voicemails, right? There's expense reports to fill out. There's quarterly reports. There's a CRM. None of that is selling time, right? Get that crap off your plate. Hire an assistant, farm it out, do it at different hours, bring in some new technology that automates some of that stuff. But everything you can do to increase your selling time is increase to better results. Now, here's one you need to really think about: events. So events have been part of oil and gas for frickin' 100 years by now, but technology and times have changed. Events for salespeople used to be top of the funnel stuff, right? You had your fishbowl, you get business cards. These were prospects that came in the top of your funnel, you'd work them through your funnel and a percentage of them would close. It doesn't work that way anymore at all. Now events are bottom of the funnel stuff, right? Where can you bring in highly qualified people that have a need for what you do, that have budget, that are looking to buy something and close them? So let me give you another example. We talked about our client that had the technology that connect any business system to any other business system. This past OTC, we hosted a breakfast. Now, we didn't do anything at OTC. OTC is huge, it's enormous, it's the largest oil and gas conference in the world. It's the third largest conference of any kind in the world. What we did is we piggybacked off that traffic. You have everybody in the world here in Houston, Texas for that week, but it's a waste of money for my client to put up a booth. So we actually did a breakfast. And we brought in a speaker. We actually paid for a speaker. And that speaker's expertise is what is the best business tool practices when you're forming joint ventures in oil and gas. Now think about that. So here's a guy's expert on what are the best practices in business tools when you form a joint venture. If you remember what my client did, anybody that would be willing to get out of bed at 8 o'clock and go to this breakfast is automatically a highly qualified candidate for them, because that's what the problem they solved. They help with joint ventures. So of that breakfast, we had 31 people show up. My client's sales team set 17 sales meetings and they closed 9 new accounts, 9 new logos. The cost, $1,500, right? Where else in the world could you close 9 new accounts for $1,500, right? There's a strategic way to use an event. So you need to think about events strategically. You need to figure out which ones have the prospects that you want to get in front of. And instead of setting up a booth, I challenge you to think differently. Think about becoming the industry expert. Think about whatever your company does, whatever your product or solution solves, and then either you or somebody else in your company become the expert around that problem. Now go to events and speak. Instead of spending your money on booths, be the expert. Be the person that people think of when they think of experts in whatever your company does. I promise you that will drive much more sales results than a booth and somebody with a fishbowl collecting cards. So, and speaking of events, we have a newsletter. As far as I know, we're the only people that do this. I take all the oil and gas events in the world that are going on, I put it in a monthly newsletter, and I put it in your inbox once a month. So if you're interested in really rocking 2016 and you're going to use events as part of your strategy, go sign up for my newsletter. It's free, right? We don't spam you. And once a month, you get the list of all events, and you can figure out which ones you can use strategically to grow your sales in 2016. Now, here's one that is vitally important, but so many people skip over. In small companies and large companies, marketing. If you're in a big company and you have a marketing department, typically the way you think of the marketing people is, well, they give me a bunch of crappy leads that are a waste of time. The reason they give you crappy leads, quite honestly, is you're not spending time with them. They need the information that's in your head, and I promise you they can give you great leads. Walk over to marketing, introduce yourselves, sit down with them, start working with them, right? Once you start giving them the knowledge they need, they can help you grow your inbound leads and increase the quality of your leads. I promise you, if you work well with your marketing team, if you partner with them, the quality of leads will double or triple or quadruple. And you may make your number without actually having to make any cold calls. Marketing's gotten that good. Marketing's that vital. Now, if you're a smaller company or you're a one-man shop and you don't have a marketing team, go learn it. We learned a good bit ourselves. It's not that hard. There's some great books out there. We'll actually put a link up in the show notes for a HubSpot article on the basics of marketing for salespeople. I promise you, it's a force multiplier. Instead of you meeting 5 or 6 people, a day, which is probably the max number of meetings you could actually do, if you do marketing right, you may be in front of 5,000 people a day without actually being there. So it's learn marketing. If you have a marketing department, partner with your marketing people. Things like social selling. Social selling is starting to take off in oil and gas. We talked about events. Your email list, right? So right now you have a bunch of emails in your CRM, and if you send them something that's spammy, quit doing that. Nobody cares about that. Actually segment your email list by categories and send them stuff that's valuable. I'll give you a perfect example you probably didn't even think of. Remember we talked about our email list for events, right? You see that as valuable. We have a lot of people, over 3,000 people see that as valuable that sign up for that. That's my email list. I am giving my prospective clients something that's valuable. They don't see it as spam, they want it. It's useful to them. See how we used our email list to actually stay in front of prospects as part of our marketing efforts? You can do the same thing. You have to have something genuine, has to be useful, has to be valuable, but quit sending unsolicited emails and start actually giving good information. Then when they get ready to buy, guess who they think of first? Because you're top of mind. Your phone rings. Awesome. And then if you are a bigger company and you have a marketing department, talk to them about marketing automation. It's become really common, the prices come down, and basically the old sales process of working your prospects from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel, they can automate a lot of that for you. So what happens is they hand you the people at the bottom of the funnel that are ready to sign. Marketing automation is awesome, but only if you work with your marketing department to help them understand exactly how to make that thing happen, right? So here's one that's, if anybody's worked with us before, you know we're famous for this, and I get joked about all the time, but I'm telling you, it freaking works. List. I want you to have half a dozen lists for 2016, and it's important. You have to buy into this, right? So the first list I want you to develop, I want you to get a piece of paper, and I want you to write down everybody that you know that, or would like to know that would be a connector. People that are in your industry, or maybe outside your industry, that are not competitors, that can connect you with the people you want to connect with. Not necessarily prospects, although they could connect you to prospects, but maybe other connections in prospect companies so you could work your way through that company and build a relationship. The connector doesn't see you as a threat because you're not trying to sell anything to them, and then you can become a connector for them, so it's a win-win. So get a piece of paper, write down 10 people for 2016 that you want to meet, that you want to introduce yourself, that would be a connector. And then how about a past client list, right? You have companies you sold to before that are happy with you. How cool would it be for you to be able to pull those out your back pocket as a reference at any time? And a lot of those people, and you know this in oil and gas, they'll work at a company 5 or 6 years and then they'll go to another company. Well, there's a new prospective client, but the guy that moved over there is a champion of yours. So think about 10 past clients that you have a great relationship with that you did good work for. Reach back out to them, re-engage, and keep those relationships live, because I promise you it helps you. And then here's an awesome one. An industry expert list. Think about your industry, I don't care what it is, and get a piece of paper and write down the top 10 industry experts in your industry, right? Then reach out to them, form connections with them. Here's why. From a sales point of view, you're much better off times 100 to be seen as an industry expert and a problem solver than to be seen as a salesperson. Well, when you start reaching out to those 10 people that are seen as industry experts in your industry, guess what? By association, you start being seen as an industry expert. And if you spend time with them and have meaningful conversations and help and engage, you will raise your expertise level, right? Because eventually you want to be seen as an industry expert. The best way to do that, the best way to start that is start hanging out with industry experts. And then here's one that we do. We have a young people's list, right? So I'm 50 years old. So for me, people that are younger, 35 years of age or younger, we have a young professionals group. We sit up inside API. I have about 20 young people that I mentor every year in college. I actually teach in my local high school. Young people are great. They have new ideas, new ways of thinking about things. They're not afraid of stuff. It benefits me and my business so much to have young people both that I'm connected with. And then we also have interns here, right? Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So whatever young is to you, if you're 35, reach out to people that are 20. If you're in college, reach out to people in high school, for God's sakes. You know, have a young people's list because it pushes your boundaries and makes you think of things that you would not have normally thought of. Then get a piece of paper, write down a stretch list. These are all the people that you wish you could connect to that you don't think would connect with you. The CEO of Chevron, right? Maybe the chief marketing officer of TIPCO Software, some industry expert, a Forrester analyst, whatever. Write down 10 people and then reach out to them. Hey, if 3 of them can connect with you out of their 10, wow, you've reached your stretch goal. How cool is that, right? And all of that was sincerely to help you with your strategy and success in oil and gas for 2016. Now, here's where I ask a favor. We gave you a bunch of good information. There's a bunch of good links, downloads, all kinds of stuff in here. And I ask nothing for this. I could charge for this, and I don't. Will you do me a favor? It takes 1 minute, right? If this was valuable to you, would you reach out in the social media buttons, which are right below here if you look at this on my blog, and share this within your network? This is how we get out and help other people, by growing. So if you can just take 1 minute and share this, we'd really appreciate it. And then finally, we're doing this as a trial. I'm not quite sure where it's going to go, but from now to the end of the year, if anybody needs help with their oil and gas sales strategy for 2016, running a special. It's $100 an hour for my time on the phone. So 1 hour for $100. Trust me, that's cheap. We'll have a link where you can reach out and email me. If you're watching this from our mailing list, there'll probably be a button to accomplish the same thing. But basically, click the button, click the email, reach out to me. We'll put something in the calendar, and I will sit down with you for an hour on the phone and help you with your 2016 sales strategy in oil and gas for $100. So folks, I hope this helped. We will see you next time.